Yo, what is going on? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the next episode of Jets Banter. We appreciate each and every one of you. Whenever you guys get a chance, if you can, please hit us with a follow on our social media, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of them, at Jets Banter. That is at Jets Banter. Thank you guys again. We got a great episode, and without further ado, let's bring in the man himself, Chesko. What's going on?
What's going on, everybody?
Living the dream. So yeah, we got a great episode. We're going to break down free agency right now, and there's a ton of stuff that's already happened with franchise tags and all that. So we will
cuts. It's been crazy.
It's unreal. But we will bring you guys all up to speed. We have a cool episode. We are going to do one side of the ball at a time. We're going to focus on defense first. We're going to go position by position. We'll go offense, obviously, next. The big money moves, O-line, receiver. We will get there, guys. Don't worry.
And it's a lot to cover because Jets have basically every position on the field as a whole at this point. So, we're going to get into a lot of free agents, a lot of guys who we think would fit into this defense and offense under what Salah wants to do and LaFleur and everything. So we hope you guys enjoy it. And I just want to say also thank you to everyone who's been reaching out to us, saying they like the podcast, the first episode, it really means a lot. And we hope you guys all keep listening. And, here we go.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, just to keep it a little bit structured, guys, obviously with this podcast, like we said in the first one, we're going to give you guys the facts first. We are going to give you guys our opinions, and then ultimately, I guess we'll try to predict as best as we can what Joe Douglas might be thinking, and hopefully we can
what we want him to do.
Yeah, what we want him to do.
It could mean absolutely nothing, but, just what our 2 cents would be.
Exactly. So, so to start off with the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think we start with the D-backs, right? So that's where we start there. So
for sure.
Start with the safeties, I guess. So just made a big move already, and just bringing back Marcus Mann, the franchise tag.
Huge.
I mean, he's the leader on this team. He's going to be big for this team in so many different ways. Not only was he a great player on the field last year, but he's going to be a big part of Salah communicating to the defense. He's the captain of that defense. One way or the other, he's the captain. So it's going to be a lot of him to Salah to the team. He's going to be huge in so many different ways. And it was a big, big move bringing him back. Got that out of the way. I hope they extend him long term, to be honest with you.
I think they will also. I think, just with the uncertainty of COVID and all that, if you can take advantage of a cheap tag, why not? It's just the business.
I think it's $10.5 million, which is, great for a guy like that.
Absolutely. And I think it's also, not to get too much into the May stuff, but I think it's huge for the culture of the team that they actually, for the first time in a little while, brought back a veteran, and there wasn't any kind of crazy mishaps as to why he left. Jamal Adams, sorry. But no, I think it's huge for the culture. I think it's big for the team.
And I hope they extend him. They should extend him. He's a huge part of this team.
I'm hoping they will. But who else do you like free agency for them to sign? Because just to say right now on their roster, at least for the safeties, it's him, it's Ashtyn Davis. McDougald also, he's a free agent, not on the roster right now. So who do you like?
I mean, there's not many guys out there who really, for the price tag. I mean, I'm not a big believer in paying a safety, especially when you just paid one in Marcus May.
Right.
So, maybe a guy like, I was looking like who would complement Neil May well. I gave away my hand there. But my guy would be Keanu Neal. I think he'd be a perfect fit with Marcus May. I mean, he's a strong safety. He can play down the box. He's going to come downhill, make it play the free safety position, drop back. I think that'd be a perfect guy to plug in and play. Maybe a cheap, $5-7 million deal. I think that'd be a great plug and play guy. I mean, there's not really many other guys. I mean, you could bring back a McDougald. I mean, he was okay. I think his best days was in Seattle. Last year wasn't his best year. But, maybe second year in New York, he's more comfortable. Maybe Salah's system would benefit him better. So it's a possibility also. But if I had my choice, it would be Keanu Neal on a team-friendly, $5-7 million deal.
I do agree on that. The one thing I slightly disagree on is the McDougald. I am over McDougald. He just, not even for how I don't want to, the whole team played bad, but it just seemed like he, in a sense, kind of quit on the team. I didn't see a lot of hustle out of him, and that's not a Joe Douglas guy.
I blame Gase for that. Gase was horrible with that.
But I just, bad taste in my mouth. I'm over McDougald. I want no part of him, but I do agree. Neal, right now, Pro Football Focus has him projected 2 years, $5 million average a year. So I think
that'd be perfect.
That seems like a pretty decently priced contract. So let me ask you this. Assuming you're saying Neal, you don't see Ashtyn Davis as the starting safety alongside May.
I don't. I like, he has flashes.
Yeah.
I like him in the box. He gets me nervous in coverage. He's flipping himself around. The worst thing you could see is a defensive back doing a 360 on the field.
Yeah.
that means he's lost. And that means he lost the receiver, and the receiver's by him. You know, so that's. I mean, I think he's a lot of potential still. I just don't think he's a starter now. Maybe he can develop into one, but just at this time, he's a great third guy to have. You know, to fill in for Marcus May or Keanu Neal.
I agree, and also he's it seems helpful on special teams as well. So I guess that is a good guy to have. But totally agree. I don't see him at least right now as a starting safety alongside May, especially when the Jets don't have great cornerbacks on the team. So the safeties really need to help out.
If the Jets really want, they can get a guy like Anthony Harris out there. But the price tag, I think Pro Football Focus has him as a $14 million a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot to pay for a safety.
Right.
You can't have $25 million just paid in safety.
Right, especially that you're paying May 10.5, 11, whatever it was.
You can't be paying the guy. So I think Keanu Neal will be a perfect fit into that with May in the back of the Jets defense.
I could not agree more with that. So if we're talking safeties there, and we were saying the Jets don't really have a ton of cornerbacks, I'm assuming you think they're going to make a splash with some corners. What are we thinking there?
Well, I keep hearing Richard Sherman.
I love the Richard Sherman thing. I love it.
For me, out of all the 49er cornerbacks that could be coming here, he'd be my third option.
Really?
Yes, for sure. He'd be my third option. My first option would be Jason Verrett.
Okay.
Jason Verrett. I know people like Jason Verrett. A lot of people like, who is Jason Verrett? Probably because he's been hurt. But when the guy's on the field, the guy is money. I think PFF had him rated as the 8th best. You could double check me on that.
No, you're 100% right.
8th best cornerback last year.
8th out of 121, and also that we're bringing up money as well. They have him projected at a 5-year average.
Yeah, he's
contract.
A stud. The only reason why, because he's always hurt. He's always off the field. But take a flyer on a guy like that. He can help teach the guy what's a lot of likes on defense. He's like press. He's like zone. Whatever. That's a guy you could put in there, and he'll be fine. You know, you gotta take the gamble. Hope he doesn't get hurt. But you can say about anybody in the NFL. Anybody can get hurt any given day. You know, he might be a little more prone than others, but I think that's a gamble you want to take. Another guy like from the Niners would be Quan Williams. Actually, he's a great slot corner. You know, I would like him to bring back Brian Poole, really, but I feel like Salah's going to bring in a lot of his own guys. You know, the culture. He wants to build that culture, and the only way you're going to do that is bring in your own guys. That's a lot of coaches do that. Bill Parcells, everywhere he went, he took the same guys. He didn't even play half of them, but he had them on the team. You know, just to build that culture, to show the guys what they want, what they're expected. So I think a Quan Williams, if they don't bring back a Brian Poole, would be a great fit, you know, as a slot corner for them. And then, I mean, Richard Sherman, he gets a lot of love out there, and I get it, veteran corner. He's done it all. He's been successful, but I think his best years are way behind him. He's on the wrong side of 30. You know, he wouldn't be my first or second option at this point, corners to bring in.
No, and I agree. So I'll say this. I think if you are going to bring someone on the defensive side from San Fran, I would want it to be a corner just because the Jets have very young corners right now. I think it would be a great help to be that player, coach kind of guy that knows the system already, can teach some of the younger guys. And to your point, Sherman is on the wrong side of 30. Pro Football Focus has him right now projected $14 million a year. That's, in my opinion, I'm sorry, that's a lot of money for a coach.
That's way too much.
Essentially, for a coach, I don't want Richard Sherman locking up the number one receiver every week. I don't want that. And I think, yeah, you say there's a little bit of risk in bringing Verrett because of the injuries, but again, if you're bringing in a guy mainly to be the, I don't want to say a player coach for Verrett because he is a little bit younger. I think he's 30 right now, and you do want him playing. At the end of the day, you're bringing in someone from San Fran to teach the system along with Saleh. So I think it's a cheaper option. It's $5 million a year.
And Quan Williams, and the guy's a stud. I mean, 99 targets last year. He had 1 touchdown.
So let me ask you this. You can only get one guy because I think it's wishful thinking that I've heard a few things out there. A lot of mock free agency things have tons of 49er players coming to the Jets for the whole Saleh thing. Right. Listen, if you get 1, maybe 2, I think that's realistic. More than that's wishful thinking. If you can only get 1 of these corners, who's your one guy that you would want?
Probably Jason Verrett.
Yeah.
Just because his upside is just so great.
Right.
So great. And you can plug and play. You can plug and play him and not worry about him. I mean, he'd be good. He knows the defense already. That'd be my guy.
Yeah, sure. And I think at least or trying to think about what Joe Douglas is thinking, which I guess it's hard to this early on because he didn't spend any money last year. But the whole thing about Joe Douglas and his thought process is he doesn't like to throw big contracts out there.
Yeah,
so
I don't see him getting like a William Jackson, the top corner out there. I just don't see it.
Right, and that's why I think, you get Verrett a little bit cheaper because of the injuries, and it's a little bit riskier. But guess what? $5 million a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years, one 2 or 3 year deal. Either way, I think that's something more up Joe Douglas's alley.
I could also see him getting a guy like Xavier Rhodes on a 2 year deal.
Yeah,
I mean, he's one of those guys that's old but gold. You know what I'm saying? Like that guy could still ball. He was a top corner last year too. I think he was rated. You know, he must be like a top 10 corner last year.
Pro Football Focus right now has him 9th.
Yeah, he must be a top 10 corner. He was awesome last year. I mean, will he do it again? I don't know. But he could be like a Mo Claiborne when he came here his first year.
Yeah.
He was better than he expected, you know? Better than we expect, I should say. You know, so that could be a guy, too, that he wants to just, you know, fill a stopgap. Put him in there, you know? Try to make the team a little better that way. Another veteran presence on the team. Someone like that, I think, could be, you know, good for the Jets also if they want to go that direction. If they don't get Sherman, if he gets paid somewhere else for something. But I think Sherman's going to end up being here regardless, just because he's, you know, said how much he likes a lot out there, and he's been with them. He's been with them in Seattle. He was with them with the Niners. I could see him being here. I think that's the most likely guy is going to be coming here out of anybody.
For sure. And I think it's safe to say, as we mentioned before, we don't know. Maybe Joe Douglas, because he did, and not to backtrack, but Joe Douglas did draft Ashtyn Davis, so they might not be. The safety play is more of a question mark. I think right now, if you look at the Jets roster, they're cornerbacks that they actually have on the roster, keeping in mind Arthur Maulet is free agent. Their starting cornerbacks, as of right now, Bryce Hall and Bless Austin. They need to make a move. I think everyone knows they're going for a cornerback. This is more
just somewhere in the draft or in free agency. This has to be addressed.
Yeah, and I think it definitely will. And I think the Verrett thing kind of is, hey, that's your solid guy you're bringing in. It's a cheap contract, so that fits up Douglas's alley. I think that's a guy. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a guy you want, and it sounds like a guy that we could realistically see Douglas potentially signing.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, for sure. And then when you get to the linebacker position, there's a lot of guys out there, and what's a big position I need for us in this team.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that it's a big position that we need. So just to let the viewers at home know, and I'm very, very worried about the Jets linebacker situation. Let me just spell this one out right now. Basham, free agent. Hewitt, free agent. Jenkins, free agent. Right now, our starting linebackers, Frankie Louvu, right, maybe, Blake Cashman, and then a guy that hasn't played in 2 years, C.J. Mosley.
Yep.
The Jets need to do something at linebacker.
I think they're going to still bank on Mosley to try to be some of that player that he once was with Baltimore. I hope he can be some of that guy, you know, because he was a great player. Will he be? That's to be decided. I don't think Salah knows that. I don't think Douglas knows that.
I don't think anyone. I don't even think C.J. Mosley knows that. He hasn't been. They talk about you have a year out. Are you in football shape? He's a little bit older. 2 years out. People, you got to remember he was injured. So not last year because of COVID, he opted out. But the year before that was the injury. Yep. So he's an injured older player that hasn't played in 2 years. You gotta.
It has to be addressed.
They will
for sure. And the good thing about it is a lot of potential out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys like Jayon Brown, who is like a top 20 linebacker every year. And he's a stud player. He's going to get paid, though. So I'm not sure what Douglas wants to spend his money.
Right.
You know, because he's very frugal with how he wants to spend and who he wants to pay.
And that's the thing. Nobody knows because he hasn't done it as a GM yet.
And
no one knows.
It was smart last year because he knew that last year wasn't a year. I think it was smart of him to save that money and not overspend for guys. You know, last year wasn't the year, and this year's not the year either.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
So, but I still think he sees that. You know, he wants to give his new coaching staff guys to work with and make their job, you know, as easy as possible, even though it's going to be difficult.
Sure.
You know, it's going to be terrible. But hopefully they make it work. So, yeah, Jayon Brown is a top 20 PFF guy for 3 years. He's looking at, I think, $12 million per year about. He's 26 years old. If you want him, you could pay him.
Yeah.
He's going to be there. He's going to be a guy you could plug in, play, and not worry about.
And I'm happier if you're going to overpay for someone, if you're going to pay that Jets tax that they always had to do in the past, at least do it on a 26-year-old and not a 30-whatever-year-old Richard Sherman. So this one I'd be happy with them spending a little bit more money on.
Now, if they wanted to go for a guy for the culture, a guy they go with is KJ Wright. You know, he's been with Salah in the past.
Yeah.
That's a guy. He's a veteran. He was still, I think he was top 10 last year as a linebacker. You know,
7. He
yeah.
was a 7th, and then 7th last year.
I don't know how many years he has left. That's the one thing. I want to give him a long-term deal, maybe
Sure.
a 1 or 2 year deal. You know, just help change that culture of the team.
Projected right now 2 years, $6 million a year.
That's not bad.
And he comes from a winning organization, an organization that like they go in every year with Seattle expecting their expectations are to win.
Yep, and he's played with some of the best players you could play with.
Yeah,
he's played with Bobby Wagner next to him, who's arguably the best linebacker in football any given year.
Yeah.
So I mean, he knows how to play. He knows what to do. He's played under Salah. I think that could be a good signing, a good veteran signing if they want to go that direction. If they don't want to go that direction, another direction they could go in is a cheaper option would be a guy like Nicholas Morrow. I'm not sure. I know a lot of people maybe not know him as well as others, but this guy was with Oakland, and he was
Las Vegas. Las Vegas. People forget.
Las Vegas. He was ranked 13 last year in coverage, which is great because C.J. Mosley. If he's the C.J. Mosley we think he is, he's going to be coming downhill all day long, getting to everybody. This guy Morrow could play back in coverage, and that's something we need.
And especially in a solid defense where he's relying on the line, on the defensive linemen to cause pressure for the quarterback, your linebackers are going to have to drop back in coverage and actually cover, maybe recognize a screen. So if he can cover, that's a guy that Salah's going to want.
And PFF rated him 25th in football last year, which is solid for a linebacker. And he's only 26 years old, I think. Not even 26
Dude, not even 26 yet, and he's cheap. Right now they have projected, again, these are Pro Football Focus projections. It's 2 years, $2.5 million a year. $2.5 million is nothing.
Go get him. If you like him, go get him. And then, I mean, there's guys out there, like I mentioned before, these guys that are going to cost a fortune, like a Levante David. I wouldn't pay him. I mean, I get it. He was 4th in PFF.
Love Levante David, but would not pay him.
Yeah, it's just we're not there yet.
If we were winning, if we were expecting to be a playoff team, different.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. We have to build something here first in the core of this team, and we're not even close yet. We don't even know the quarterback of this team's going to be.
Sure, of course.
And there's so much to deal with, so many holes to fill. It's not the right move to pay him like we did with Mosley and Le'Veon Bell when we weren't ready either and we paid them.
So would you be upset? And I think a very realistic thing that they do, obviously not for every free agent, but for this particular example on the linebackers, because the Jets have so many linebacker free agents that were on their roster last year. You see them bringing back a Neville Hewitt?
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, I love the way Hewitt played. I love him. I think that's someone, again, you get him $2-3 million a year.
Yeah.
You could get him for, just bring him back a couple years, 2-3 year deal. He's 28 years old.
Solid. Put him in the back end, plug and play guy if need be, someone gets hurt or something. He's not gonna make your team better.
No,
make
but
it that much worse though.
The Jets need a little bit of depth with the linebackers.
I mean,
he was there.
I'm not a big believer in Blake Cashman.
No.
I think that Hewitt's definitely better than him.
Right.
So I definitely want to bulk up that linebacking core. And I think he's like I said, he's not gonna make your team a lot better, but he's a good guy who just plug in there and
solid player.
He'll hold down the 4 as long as he can.
Right. And again, I think it's also important. And I know I bring up culture. I brought it up in the first episode. I'm bringing it up a few times here. But what the Jets are trying to do is build a winning organization, and the first thing you need to do is culture, and you need to show some of your players on your roster, like, hey, if you play well and you buy in, Hewitt played hard every single play. It's like you reward a guy like that. You give him and again, you reward a guy like that, and it's a good sign for $2-3 million a year.
And it shows your team. Listen, if you work hard for this team, we're gonna bring you back.
Exactly.
We want to keep you around the organization.
Exactly.
That's big. People want to see that. Players want to see that. Loyalty's big in any sport and anywhere in life. So I definitely would bring him back, for a culture.
Right, and I think it's also really big for other players, other free agents from other teams to actually be like, oh, wow, a couple of Jet free agents went back to the Jets. So maybe things are changing a little bit. They didn't run out first opportunity and just left immediately.
Right. And now we go to the defensive line. One area where the Jets are actually, there's promise. The interior defensive line. The Jets, this is one place we've actually, we've been hitting on this. Quinn Williams had a breakout year last year. Still young. He's going to be a force again. I love what they did with him. A great pickup by Joe Douglas last year was taking John Franklin Myers from the Rams.
Yes, love Franklin Myers.
Stole him. He's phenomenal. I call him the accountant with that last name, John Franklin Myers.
Best.
But both of them were top 20 against pass rush last year. And Fudukasi was a top 15.
I was just about to say, don't sleep on my boy, Fudukasi.
Yeah, I mean, he was a top 15 in general. Not even just pass rush. In general, he was top 15 interior defensive lineman.
Right. And Nathan Shepard also is not bad for depth.
Yeah, I mean, as a fourth guy, I don't mind that at all.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so I think there's a lot of potential here with this team, interior defensive line, but then you need an edge rusher.
Yes, the
Edge rusher, most important position on the defense.
They've needed one for over 20 years.
Exactly. We haven't had a good pass rusher since John Abraham. And that's not even hyperbole. That's the truth.
Sick.
So, the guy I love, and I think a lot of Jets fans, I see it all over Jets Twitter, I see it everywhere, Carl Lawson. I mean, I think everyone's unanimous on this is the guy to get. This is a guy that you pay. You go get him and you pay. I may not be big on paying other guys, but edge rushers, you like them, you go get them.
Yeah, and right now they have a projection $14 million a year.
You go get that guy.
Hey, we got the money for it. Yeah. This is a position you have to pay a premium for, and you do it.
And you do it because you need it. Every team needs edge rushing, especially in this NFL today. You have to. So that's the guy. 14 mil, no problem. You give it to him. I don't want Clowney.
I was just about to ask, any interest at all in Clowney?
No, he's always hurt. Barrett I like, but he's too expensive. He's way too expensive.
Dude, it's going to be almost 20 mil to sign him.
Lawson's younger, and I think he's better, to be honest with you. I think Lawson's just underrated because he's in Cincinnati. He's stuck.
Last year, Lawson 14th, and Barrett was 22nd. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah, according to PFF, yeah.
Lawson's a beast. I mean, look at the guy's Instagram or Twitter, whatever it is. The guy's a monster. And this guy could play. That's a guy, if I'm Joe Douglas, I'm paying him. How much is it? 14 million? Okay. 15? Okay. You pay a guy like that.
Bro, that's why you save up this money, again, is to get a guy at a position that, you know, the NFL you pay a premium for, and it's probably the position the Jets have lacked the most in their history over the last 20 years. So you got to do it.
Right. And, you know, maybe Douglas thinks we're not ready yet to get a guy like that, which I get too. You want to maybe take a flyer on someone else.
But this is a guy I don't mind you give 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I don't mind. So edge rushing, you could pay.
So if Joe Douglas is thinking this is a 2-year rebuild until you're actually competitive, well, guess what? You still have this guy when he's 28 years old on the contract. Okay, yeah, you paid a little bit extra now, and you're going to pay a little extra, 4 or 5 years down the road. But you have him in that window that you want to win if this thing actually works out.
You got to pay that guy, and like I said before, Clowney, Barrett, no. Carl Lawson is the guy. You gotta go pay him. You want to take a flyer on a guy? Let's say Douglas, devil's advocate. Let's say he doesn't want to pay him. We're not ready yet. We're not there. A guy I wouldn't mind taking for a short-term cheap deal. Melvin Ingram. The guy's consistent.
Yeah, no, he is. He's a little bit older, so
He's older, but I'm saying if you don't want to pay a guy like that, that's a guy I would pay. I think he's always been a top 30, top 25 in that range.
Literally, so you want to laugh? 2018, 2019, 2020, all 3 years in a row, 27th.
Oh yeah, so, perfect. So he's the guy I wouldn't mind paying. Give him $8 million a year, $9 million a year, $10 million a year, whatever it is.
10 mil is what they're projecting at.
Yeah, whatever it is. So I would give him that, and I let him go. That's a guy. He's known in the league. He's a difference maker. I mean, I get it, a little longer in the tooth than others. But that's a guy I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on if you don't want to get a guy like Carl Lawson.
Yeah, and then one other guy I see a lot of people linking the Jets towards or someone that they might be going after, Ngakoue. If I could actually pronounce this guy's name ever, I can never do it. Sorry, it's not going to be the first time you hear me mess up his name. Guys has 2018, 2019, 2020, has never been top 30. And they're projecting $18 million a year for this guy. That's one guy I do not want Joe Douglas to even call. Don't do due diligence with him, in my opinion. I want no part of him.
I mean, I'm not ready to say I want no part of him. If the price is right, if he's taking a discount, maybe go get him. But he's not my first option.
No, but that's why I'm viewing it. No one's going to take a discount to come to the Jets. That's just the reality of it. It is what it is. This guy right here, I could just picture you break the bank for him and he does nothing. It's just the typical.
To me, he's a pure pass rusher. He's a one-trick pony. He's gonna go get the quarterback. You don't want him in the run schemes. I don't like guys like that that aren't versatile. Unless you're really dominant at what you do, and he hasn't.
Right, exactly, and especially on a defense where there's no one else drawing attention. If let's say he comes on the Jets, no one else draws attention on this defense except for him. Right. So guess what? You just bring an extra guy there. You bring a tight end there or something like that to help him out, and then he's locked up. And there's No, I want zero part with this dude at all.
Another guy it's interesting to talk about. I don't think the Jets would sign him, but just an interesting point to talk about is Bud Dupree, right? He's out this year, but this isn't the Jets year anyway.
Right.
Sign him. I mean, he might be cheaper because of his injury. Sign him maybe for 2 or 3 year deal. See what you get when he comes back. It might be a discount. That could be a guy you plug in, you play, and he gets the quarterback. He gets there. Him and TJ Watt were menaces on that defense.
I guess PFF agrees with you though, because you said he might be cheap. They're projected 15 a year for this guy.
I mean, I don't think that's cheap. I think that's the best at the premium, you know?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like. I don't think you can get him cheap, is my point. I think that if he does get after the quarterback like that, and to your point, like I think teams are going to pay premium for that, man.
I mean, that's a lot. For
It's a ton.
Out all this year and see how he bounces back.
It's a ton. Such a question mark.
I don't know.
Such a question mark. Just
staying in the trenches here, let's get to my favorite part of the team. The offensive line.
All right, we're transitioning to offense. This is what everyone. This is the big money moves.
This is another guy. Another place where I never mind paying. Right.
Oh, and I don't think Joe Douglas is gonna mind paying.
Right. I hope not. At least offensive line. So first, I want to get out of the way. I want to get this out of the way. Everyone's talking about Eric Fisher and Schwartz.
No.
From the Chiefs. No, I don't think that's the right move for the Jets. I definitely do not. Because first of all, they're injured, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Schwartz with his back, Fisher with his Achilles. That's not.
Aren't people talking like possibly retirement for?
Maybe it's possible for Schwartz.
Yeah,
maybe.
for Schwartz, I heard that he might possibly retire.
Maybe.
So I can't imagine he would debate not going into retirement for the Jets. I don't see it.
Maybe. I mean, if he still wants to play, I mean, Ryan Khalil did it. He came out of retirement for the Jets. So I guess anything is possible.
True.
But I just don't. I don't believe in plug and play guys in the offensive line, especially when you're not there yet.
Right.
Right. Develop guys. See what they have.
Yeah.
This is the time to do it. You know, when you're still trying to figure out your way.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets are still 2 years away at least.
Right. Yes.
So don't get a plug and play guy. Build the offensive line the right way. Do it through the draft. Do it through long-term deals of guys you believe in, like my favorite, Joe Thuney, who is everyone's favorite. That's the guy you circle. Go get him too. Him, Carl Lawson. Go get him.
So, all right, this is where I agree, but I draw the line a little bit because I think every Jet fan has your opinion. Joe Thuney's the guy. Throw the bank at him. Could I say one thing? And this is my opinion. Throwing this out there, and I'm just mentally preparing myself. Not that I'm bitter about it. It's just the reality, in my opinion. 0.1% chance the Jets actually land this guy.
You really think so?
I really don't. I think Joe Douglas is going to sit in front of him or on Zoom, whatever it is, and say, hey, here's $14 million a year. Take it or leave it. And he's going to say, like, if I'm going to the Jets, I want a little bit more. And Joe Douglas is going to say, nope, that's the number. And that's it.
I'm not saying it can't happen. It could definitely happen. But to me, a guy like that, he could legitimize a whole offensive line. Just him as a guard.
And
like an Alan Faneca, what he did for the Jets.
And I think that a lot of teams are going to have that opinion. And right now, PFF has 14.25 per year, 14.25. I really think this guy is going to get something closer to 16 million a year because people are really going to pay for him. That's my opinion. I don't see Joe Douglas in any way, shape, or form going 16 million for a guard. I don't see it, especially one. He's 28 years old, which I know I'm not saying he's old, but Joe Douglas has said time and time again, build through the draft. Right. I don't see him paying someone.
And Douglas knows that.
No, you know? I agree. And listen, I hope I'm wrong here. I really hope I'm wrong. I don't see Joe Douglas giving this guy.
Then I want a guy like Lindsley from Green Bay.
Okay. Green Bay. Yes, and then
make him your center.
And then
Rodgers will cry if he loses Lindsley because he knows how good he is.
And then you move McGovern over.
McGovern to guard,
yeah, which is fair. But what scares me about that then is like then you have this big question mark of guys moving around and like.
I mean, these are pros. They could do it. They could figure it out.
I hope so. I hope so. I don't know. Call me a little bit pessimistic with this. I'm not bitter about it. I just don't see Joe Thuney coming here. I just don't.
If it's not him, then Lindsley. One of them has to come here.
Yeah.
One of them. You have to overpay for one of them. This offensive line cannot go into next year with. I mean, they can even draft at 23 a rookie guard. You still have to fill another guard spot.
No, they have to. They have to. No, they need to address it for sure.
Bring back Alex Lewis, but he's not the answer.
No.
I don't mind him as a depth piece.
Right, yeah. When injuries eventually happen, he could plug him in. He's not terrible.
But you have to bring in a guard, someone to come into that spot and take over. And I think I'd be surprised if they didn't land either a Thuney or a Lindsley. They have to get one.
Yeah.
Absolutely have to get one.
No, I completely agree. I think I will say this too about the offensive line is like at least the tackles, obviously left tackle, best maybe ever. Love Becton guy.
He's a monster.
I love him. Guy's a unit. And then right tackle, Fant. He's
okay.
Yeah,
He's
solid. Just let the tackles be. Just let them be. Just run behind back then all
Another
day.
guy I like also, if the Jets somehow miss on both of those guys, is Zeitler from the Giants. Keep him in New York.
Yeah.
Plug and play guy. Leave him there. He'll be all right. I like him too. My favorite guy was Scherf from Washington. But he got franchise tagged.
Yeah.
Now that could have been a good piece, young, but I get it. I mean, it is what it is. And then we go to tight end. I know you have a hot take on the tight end. Who do you like at tight end?
I don't want to say it's a hot take. I think a good tight end for a rookie quarterback. So I'm assuming Zach Wilson. I won't even say rookie. You know what? I take that back. For a young quarterback, I'll still throw Darnold out there as being that young quarterback. You need a good tight end. You need a good tight end, a safety blanket. I see a few of them out there that are possible. I think there's one that, again, I don't see Joe Douglas throwing a ton of money at Hunter Henry, in my opinion. I don't see him throwing $12 million, $13 million. I'm not seeing that, to be totally honest with you. I don't think that's the case. I know Jonnu Smith is out there. Again, it's a little bit more expensive.
I like Jonnu. I think
that's your guy?
Yeah, that's my guy. But who do you think? What do you think?
I would not be upset with a guy like Gerald Everett. I really wouldn't be. I know it doesn't move the needle a whole lot, but again, I don't think he was ever the tight end in LA. It was tight end 1 and tight end 2 over there. I think that's a guy where it's like, if you do that, I think you alleviate a little bit from Herndon as well. Because Herndon, I'm not completely out on yet, but I don't think he should be the starting tight end going into the season. Right. I could see them getting a guy like Everett a little bit cheaper, see what you have there. $7 million a year is roughly where you'll be at. Again, I just don't see Douglas spending a ton of money for Hunter Henry or Smith at a tight end position.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see him throwing much money anywhere, but my favorite guy would be Jonnu Smith. He'd probably take about $9-10 million in space.
Yeah. 25 years old though. He is young.
He's young. He's a lot of potential. He's great yards after catch. He has 6.8 yards per catch in his whole career. So I think that could be a guy that they could get. And it's up to preference, what they want to do, how they want to use a tight end. Like they use a lot with Kittle, but Kittle's a freak athlete.
Well, and that's the one thing that I feel like the Jets don't have a ton of selling points. And I think, one thing I do want to ask you, not to go too off topic, but you think the Jets are going to have a little bit of a disadvantage when they're talking to some of these offensive players to bring in, where it's like, they ask like, hey, who's going to be the quarterback throwing to me? And they're like, oh, we don't know yet. Like, do you think that's going to be a problem?
I think guys are going to go more for the money.
Yeah.
I expect guys, if the Jets pay, they're going to go there. But it's definitely possible that there's a Jets tax out there. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But if I had one tight end I'd want, it would be Jonnu Smith. I just don't know what's going to happen how much they value.
Right.
A guy, it's not George Kittle to be their tight end.
Right. But just going back to my point, I think that the one selling point or one position that you really can sell to offensive players, regardless of the quarterback, is the tight end position in San Fran has arguably had a top 2, top 3 tight end over the past few years. And it's like, you can make the argument where it's like, yeah, of course, a skill and all that. I'm not taking anything away from Kittle, but it's like the way that the system works out is very tight end friendly. So like, hey, you're going to get your targets here. You're going to be involved in a lot of plays. So I think that's something where at least you can sell it to these guys, and I'm hoping they're in the mix for Smith. Again, I would hope that's the case. I just don't see Douglas.
Know what Douglas is going to do. That's the whole thing. We don't know his game plan. We're just saying, who we think would be great players, but we don't know what he's thinking. We don't know what he wants to pay. But I'd assume he wants to pay the O-line and D-line because the trenches guy, where he came from, Ozzie Newsome, the Ravens, but we'll see.
Right, but I would say those are the 3 potential guys out there, or Henry, Smith, Everett. Again, I know Everett's like a way below them, but that's a guy if they get. I read the tweet and I'm like, okay, I'm happy with that. It doesn't. It's nothing crazy, but
it's moving in the right direction.
Right, right, exactly.
Another position I don't see them paying is running back.
I could not agree more with you.
Yeah, I don't see them paying running back at all. I don't see him paying a guy like Aaron Jones.
No,
I don't see it. I see them paying maybe his counterpart there in Jamal Williams. I think he'd be a more of a guy that would be, more of a jet type, or even a Tevin Coleman. He's played before with Salah, LaFleur, and they don't know each other. They know the system. They know how they want to run the offense. They have a very creative running scheme and play action, so he knows that already. So maybe a guy like Tevin Coleman I could see. Maybe both of them. Maybe Jamal Williams and Tevin Coleman.
And I was just gonna say that too. It's like San Francisco has never had like a one dominant, right? Like they have it's like a running back by committee, and they're
right,
all.
right.
So it seems like maybe that's the LaFleur type. It's where it's like, hey, you just rotate those running backs.
There's a lot of potential. You know, that
Yes.
guy thrown into the mix too. You know,
Yeah,
maybe
Ty Johnson wasn't terrible.
Yeah, maybe this guy, maybe P Ryan. You know, maybe he needed a guy like LaFleur to, you know, it's only second year.
No, he's young. He's got
Maybe this helps him get out of his shell a little more. He showed flashes last year where he could be solid, but with the right coaching, he could be a real good ball player.
No, I agree. And let me ask you this question. I think this is interesting too. I guess this is a little bit about like the thought process behind something like this. Do you think any part of Joe Douglas's brain at all is thinking about the Le'Veon Bell contract and how he doesn't want a mistake like that? So it's like
I think he knows that was bad, and he's never going to do
right.
it again.
And
Well, he did it the first time,
right?
But
And it was
knows from that was super from the jump,
right. So I'm saying, like, do you think he's even thinking in his brain where it's like, I'm not even going to entertain the idea of bringing in a bigger name running back and potentially throwing out a stupid contract like that
He's
because of
frugal
Bell?
as it is.
Yeah.
Like, now he's going to spend it on a running back, especially Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I could picture them drafting a running back.
Maybe top of the second round, maybe end of the first, depending on how much they like
right.
ETN, maybe.
Right.
Possibly. You know, who knows?
I just don't see it in a running back, and I feel like I have been saying a lot like, oh, I don't see Joe Douglas spending a ton here. I don't see Joe Douglas spending a lot there. Where it's like that is the case. If he does, I'll say this: it's
not gonna be a running back.
No, it's O-line, and it could potentially be. I would assume this next position that we're going to bring up.
Wide receiver.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, my receiver for sure is a big hole. I mean, we have, Mims showed potential. Crowder, solid. This is Crowder's last year of his deal.
Right, yeah.
We have to figure out, the next guy that's going to come and make an impact on offense. There's a lot of guys out there. The number one PFF rated free agent at the time, Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. He's a threat. He's a number one receiver. He's a guy you can go out there, you put him at the end of the line, and you know he's gonna make a play for
right, exactly.
He's gonna go up and get it. So that's a guy you could go pay to. Again, I don't know. Joe, is he gonna pay him? Is Joe gonna pay him?
I think so. This is my opinion. I have a feeling if he is going to spend a lot,
he's projected $20 million a year.
It's a lot. No, it's a lot it's a lot of money. But my worry is if you don't do it in at least in one skilled position like the receiver, you're going to run into the same problems that Darnold had where it's just like you have no weapons around you. And I would think, again, if Douglas were to spend, it's O-line and then it's a receiver.
Right.
Or a couple of receivers, in my opinion, as well.
You could do that. I mean, one guy I definitely don't want is Will Fuller.
He's injured every year.
Too injury prone. You don't want to pay a guy like that. Did he have a great year last year? Yeah, and then he got suspended. The guy's not playing.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So that's not a guy I want. Juju, I've never been a Juju guy. I don't want Juju either.
So I don't hate Juju. Again, it's just not someone that's like that's the number one guy I want. I'm gonna say something right now.
He's not an outside receiver. He's not an outside receiver his whole career.
No, so
every snap he goes in, goes out. And I don't think, that's what the Jets are going to want to do with him. And he hasn't been a top 50 receiver since Antonio Brown was next to him.
Right, which is a big help.
He hasn't proved it. I get he got targets last year, but he hasn't been, that guy, And I get it. Maybe he doesn't have to be that guy for the Jets, right? But he wouldn't be my first option.
I agree with that. He would not be my first option.
I'd rather pay a guy a little less, maybe like a Corey Davis. Last year was ranked 10th in PFF as a receiver, or maybe a Curtis Samuel. He's like a Swiss Army knife.
So I'm gonna say this. That's my guy.
You like
Curtis Samuel. Even if it takes $10 million to get him, you get Curtis Samuel. No, I love Curtis Samuel.
I can see them using him as a Debo Samuel type.
They could do everything they want with him. Yeah. They could literally do everything they want.
They could run the ball to him, get the ball to him in space. There's a lot they could do with him. I could see them, like I said, using him as a Debo Samuel.
Right.
Type.
You want LaFleur to shine? Mm-hmm. You get a guy like Curtis Samuel.
Right.
You let the possibilities. Right. I am all in on Curtis Samuel. That's my number one receiver.
Guys are too rich, for Douglas's blood, which is a possibility. They're gonna take a flyer on a guy like maybe like a T.Y. Hilton or Marvin Jones, just a filler gap for the year. And I wouldn't be opposed to that. T.Y. Hilton, a veteran, maybe help teach Mims. That wouldn't be an awful move either if they want to go that direction.
Yeah, I think a veteran receiver would be just a decent move, regardless of who the quarterback is.
And another receiver.
Right. I
wouldn't mind that. The deal is right. And another guy, I don't want to forget him because he's not a big name, but he could be an important part of this team. He's not a receiver. Kyle Juszczyk.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Bring him in.
Help out the O-line too. Essentially, it's an extra.
Top-rated fullback in football. He could block. Put him in. He knows. He loves LaFleur. LaFleur used him a lot more than the other fullbacks been used.
Yeah.
Bring him in. Culture guy. Another culture guy. If you want to bring a culture.
That is a culture guy.
You know, he's. I think he's been seen favoriting Jet stuff or something like that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's big on what the Jets. He wants to play here. I think if he's not back there, he'll be here.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think in all seriousness, I think that would help out. Like if you're gonna have a run heavy game, a fullback like that's actually versatile. Also, like that helps out.
You don't gotta find another one.
Right,
you have one.
That helps out the O line tremendously. It's an extra blocker that you could really rely on. You could really, really rely on someone like that.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. I hope they make some moves. I hope Douglas is smart, but not cheap.
Yeah, no, and I don't think he will be. My problem is I think the Jets have so many guys, and I know the Jets have a ton of money. What it is, it's 68.5 right now after franchising May. It's like that. Yeah, it's a ton of money, but they have so many holes to fill. They're gonna have to sign a lot of players.
And Douglas knows he doesn't have to fill them all right now.
No, he doesn't have to fill them all, but
at the year anyway.
But at the end of the day, you need people to actually, like the linebackers. You need people to actually walk in the building.
He can help build a culture here.
Yeah,
if you get a guy like before, like I mentioned, like a linebacker, like Morrow.
Yeah,
that's a guy.
Right.
You plug and play. He's young. He could be here for 5 years.
Right.
If he's got a solid 3 to 5 years, maybe, who knows?
And my point is, you bring in a guy for $5 million here, $4 million here, $8 million there. It adds up, and all of a sudden, a $50 million contract to Tooney, like that adds up. Joe Douglas has the power to, whether it's going to be for good or for bad, he is basically steering this Jets organization for the next 10 years. So we're going to figure out what Joe Douglas is made of based on his moves right now and see how that's going to progress over the next couple of years.
For sure.
So we're going to find out if and where he's going to spend that money. I think it's going to be receiver. I think it's going to be O-line. And
a lot could change.
Yeah.
A lot can change. And I think a lot's going to change. And I trust Joe Douglas completely. I think it's going to work out for the better.
I trust him 100%. I trust Saleh 100%. It sounds like it's a collaborative effort also. So, yeah. No, I absolutely... I'm excited. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic for the future. And, one last thing to bring up. I'm sorry. One last thing to bring up. An electric conversation to bring up as well. 2 of them, actually. One of them, the first one I'm going to bring up, a little bit less electric, the backup quarterback situation. People forget the Jets don't have a backup quarterback. 2 seconds on this, guys. I mean, I don't think anyone really cares. Ryan Fitzpatrick is an option. You have Andy Dalton. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco coming back. Who knows? Who cares? The real the electric factory thing, the strength and conditioning coach that they just brought in, Mike Nicolini. Do you know why I love him? I don't know anything about his strength and conditioning. I have no idea. I don't lift weights myself. I could genuinely care less about it from my perspective. This guy, you know those videos of Saleh basically running onto the field and that guy would be like holding back his shirt and holding him back? He was the holdback guy. We might have a holdback guy.
Every team needs a holdback guy.
We might have
a good team at least.
Maybe
they're a good organization. You got a holdback guy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's what so maybe even if the Jets are losing 37-3, at least you get to watch a holdback guy. That makes stuff exciting. I don't know if
Love a good holdback.
Yeah, I don't know if he got a promotion and he went from like an intern to strength and conditioning, but I hope he's holding back Saleh.
Taking a lot of guys from Niners. That must really. I mean, that's a good sign. I mean, guys want to play
this might be the biggest signing of the entire. This is the biggest signing of the offseason right here. I love it. I love it.
I can't do this. Please stop.
I absolutely love it. But no, everyone, on a serious note, thank you all for tuning in again.
Thanks for support.
We're gonna have some exciting stuff going on in the future. I think we're gonna eventually do later rounds of the draft. Obviously, the first episode we did was what to do with number 2.
A lot of ideas still in the air. We're gonna get something out to that quickly.
Absolutely. So thank you all again for tuning in. And I'm pretty hungry right now. So let's go get a goddamn snack.